It's that time again. It's the Burky and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. It's going to get wild. It's going to get wacky. It might even get a little zany. We're going to talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about. Hey, hey! It's the Burky and it is the Badger! Badger the Brave. Hey, I had somebody ask me a question. I was just recently, this is off the topic, but just recently at the Southwest Board Game Festival with Board Game Gumbo, BJ and the crew over there. They said, what about this co-host and why is his name Badger? So and they interrogated me. How many episodes? How long you been doing this? What do you do on that stupid show? And I said the rule is you never give two monkeys a podcast.
And expect them to explain why they do it.
Well, and expect them to do anything well, you know.
Expect it to be intelligible.
And so we live up to expectations. But then I told him the story about your Badger the Brave and all of your musical exploits and how amazing you are. So just so you know, everybody in Louisiana now knows about the infamous Barry Doublet Badger.
And they're talking about me in French circles then probably as well.
Yeah, they might be. They might be putting some Cajun spice on it even.
Oh, yeah, baby. But anyway, hello, welcome to our podcast. This is
welcome everybody. Yeah, it's like I forgot who I was talking to. It's really the audience that we're talking to, right?
I thought we were just chatting like we normally do every blue moon.
True. True that. True that.
Oh, yeah. So what is this? This is Babble. This is the board game Babble.
And we will get around to 91.
It is episode 91, expanding the game. And in this episode, we're going to quickly talk about what's been happening in Babblot, which is where we live.
Yep.
Theatrically,
we live in Babblot, and I'm the king, and here's the gesture, and we make fun of him, and we elevate me to Supreme Highness. Thank you.
And then after we do a babbling, we're going to do a roundup of rumors and things that make our king go, followed by an interrogation. We have in our dungeon, you might see them pop up in the screen like that. And there they go again.
There he is.
We have someone in our dungeon who's been very, very naughty. He's been arrested for being too cuddly at conventions. People just want to cuddle this guy. Yes.
It's true. It's true.
I'm gonna keep the podcast listeners guessing who it's going to be. So yeah, we're gonna interrogate our guest in a mo. Well, not in a mo, but later. And then we're gonna be babbling about our babble topic, which is expanding the game. We're going to talk about board games expansions. Why are there board games expansions?
Cool.
Why can't I say expansions?
Expansions. Española.
Española.
SBESP.
SBS. Oh, SBSP.
No. Expansions.
Astaminix. Yes.
So what have you been doing? What's been going on in your
where do I start?
Too much Babblot.
Too much in this kind of rural part of Babblot, on the outskirts of the walls of the castle. Yes, we're having a lot of building work, and so it's been a bit hectic here for the past 3 weeks. But game board wise, that's another way to say it. Board game wise, I've been had the chance to play a game called Malhya, Land of Legends, which is on Kickstarter currently at the moment from the La Boîte de Jeu.
Malhya.
The funny story is, if I go through the story, is at Cannes in 2020, which was the last time I went to Cannes. There was a guy.
I just went to the Cannes a little while ago.
I know you did. I see some toilet paper still in your shirt there. But at Cannes, I was working for BGG. Thank you, BGG. Doing their videos and stuff. And the stand across the way was the game Malhya, Land of Legends. And after they demonstrated their game to us, I got very excited because they were talking about a soundtrack with their board game, and of course, I do soundtracks and special effects and voiceovers as well. So, but anyway, besides the point. So we got talking. I gave them my business card, and they said, "You're joking." This guy said, "You're joking. This is your business card. This is where you live." He knew where I lived. He knew my wife. He went to school with my wife.
Wow.
So yeah. So I had the chance recently to play Malhya Land of Legends, and I also got a bit of work with it as well. I got to do a voiceover for their videos. So I just thought I'd put a plug out for Malhya Land of Legends. It's a choose your own adventure board game, which is like you're reading a choose your own adventure book, and then there's these moments where it's like Final Fantasy VII, the original, where it's like you're walking around the map and all of a sudden go, but there's lots of these little moments and they're different things. They're puzzles. There's the strategy of stealth, sneaking past guards, or there's actual combat, or there's boss encounters, or there's other encounters. And there's all these little things all in this kind of choose your own adventure book, but it's got minis, lots of cards, lots of boards and stuff. Go and check it out if you like adventuring, and especially if you like a cooperative adventure. Malhya Land of Legends on Kickstarter now. So that's what I've been up to.
Wow, that sounds good.
Yes. Of course, as well as doing Sirenscape soundtracks for Fate Forge and Book of Eventide, which were Kickstarters as well. But what have you been up to? I've been rambling.
No, it was awesome.
Ding dong.
Yeah, we've been having lots of stuff going on, but I just had the opportunity to go to Tantrumcom in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And Charlotte's here. Oh,
Charlotte,
no, sorry.
sir? No.
Yeah.
That's North Carolina, Charlotte.
Okay,
You have Charlottes in every city, right?
Yeah, this is South Babblot, Charlotte.
Okay. So the crew at Tantrumcom had invited me. I've sponsored their show since they just started, and we want to get to our guest here real quick, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this, but were
they there?
They were there.
Our guest was there.
Our guest was not there, but my other guests were there.
Okay, sorry.
Be our guest,
Put your music to the test.
Yeah, that was the way it was. And I was the beast, and I sang to the beauty. But so we went to Tantrumcom. Oh boy, we are off the rails today. So Tantrumcom, Kevin and Melissa Delp and Will and Sarah Meadows and Joshua and his wife and the crew there. What a great job they do putting on this regional convention. Got to play the new Libertalia, Sales of Gale Crest or whatever from Stonemeyer Games with Marty and Tony and a couple of their friends from the Rolling Dice Taking Names podcast, and good friends with Marty and Tony, and got to see Chris Goodlett from the Charity Board Gamer. Got to play the new Tsuro collector's edition from Calliope Games.
Ooh.
If you got to go look at this. It's coming to Kickstarter next month, but I got to play it with Carly Reinhardt, Gnarly Carly.
I'm so jealous.
It's awesome, right? Okay, he came out of the dungeon. He got out of his cuffs and out of the stretching machine.
He couldn't control himself.
Deluxe wooden gorgeous Tsuro with Gnarly Carly, who we've just hired.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to her and I'm going, who are you? But I know you somehow. What a sweetheart, right?
Right. Oh my goodness,
just so kind. And
I can go back to the dungeon now if you want. It's absolutely fine. I just couldn't handle that. That was.
This is our guest Az from Lucky Duck Games, and now he's officially announced on the show, and now he gets to contribute to all of our nonsense.
Oh
Yay!
Man, how much I wish I was at Tantrumcom now. I could have been playing Tsuro with Burky and Carly. That is like, and so okay. Let's talk about that version. Is it everything you wanted it to be?
I see the deal was they had a little media mashup meetup thingy in the morning there, and so we went over there and you had little snacks and you got to talk to people, and that's when I first talked to Carly. Well, then later, Ken Franklin, he said, "You want to try and play this?" And so Bree is in the castle. Woohoo! Why am I not seeing the chats? Any chats? It's in the comments. That's why Kabuki Kid is in the castle. And Bree Goldman, she's a sweetheart too.
This is the squirrel moments that we have for Burky. I can just pop one of these up at any time, and he forgets what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, so we're there, and I'm talking with Ken. Oh, it's because I've got it on the table, and I got to quit bouncing because I'm kind of excited here. I think
you try and ask Burky about a game, and he just starts name dropping all the people he was with. Like, what did you think of the limited edition $350 game, Burky? Well, I was with this person and this person.
Well, because I love these people. So I'm talking to Ken and oh gosh, no, I just lost his name. Thanks a lot. I had all my name drops figured out. No, I didn't. The owner of Calliope, you know his name. So we're talking, and then we go over to this table, and I'm just walking around, got my top hat on, and I see this box, and it looks like an ancient artifact. It's got this beautiful dark deep cherry with these engraved dragons on it with these little claw feet, and I'm like, what's that? And he opens it up, and here is this padded, velvet lined or plush silk lined padded box that all of the miniatures that are pewter or steel painted are sitting in perfectly. And then you pull out these wooden tiles, and I go, ooh, look at this. And I said, can I take a picture? He goes, no, not yet. What? And then Ken goes, well, do you want to play it? Yes. And that's when we got to sit down and play it. And I hadn't played that in years and years and years. In fact, I'd kind of forgotten how. And then they were kind to show me how to play. And it's amazing.
Were you talking about Tsuro?
Yeah, the new collector edition that's coming to Kickstarter from Calliope Games.
Which is not on BGG.
It's not yet, because it's a $350 limited edition version. I saw on Dicebreaker. I actually sent you the link, Barry, in case you do want to show it, but they've shown very little. So when Burky started mentioning this, my brain blew up. My primary partner is a massive fan of Tsuro, and she's been asking me to keep my eye out for this. I did not realize it was so close. Do we know when it's launching, Burky?
I think by the end of the month, if I remember, within 1 month anyway. Goodbye
paycheck. I don't need to eat that month. I think it's baked beans and toast for me and Babblot that month.
It'll be worth it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it was the bamboo rule scroll and stone tiles. Like, so, because I've got beside me here, I was potentially going to talk about this later, but I'll talk about it now. Like, Shobu is like, are you familiar with this game?
No. A little bit. Barry, if you go to Facebook and just go to their Calliope Games, maybe you can pull up the thingy. Okay, go ahead. Az.
There's totally something to be said for fondle factor, one of my favorite terms in board gaming. How something feels, like the tactile love part of the game. And there's a certain value to that. So like Shobu is a game that realistically is a bunch of stones with a piece of rope. Like that's what the game is. But the way they present it and how it feels when you're playing it is just otherworldly good. It's that same kind of feeling you get when you're playing Go, and you place the stones in that really nice way between your two fingers, and you get that lovely click, that lovely tactile feeling of running your fingers through all the stones. Oh, it's brilliant. I'm just not sure $350 is really going to be something I can spring for this, but I'm so excited. Like,
it's pretty cool. If you're a Tsuro fan, I think you'll get really excited about it. It's kind of like one of my youngest daughter's favorite games is Takenoko. And yeah, look at this video.
Oh,
and I really regret that I didn't buy that great big Takenoko set with the big pandas and all that. Look at it. Look at the scroll.
People on the podcast now are just like, what is happening? And we're like, you just need to.
Yeah, we didn't even plan on talking about this. We need to send them a sponsorship bill for the show. I mean, I should be able to get $5 out of this, shouldn't I?
Mm-hmm. At least.
But you know what? There's something to be said for that kind of, chess or Go, those long lifetime games that you buy that you'll never ever replace because they're really quality and they're going to last for generations and you hand them down. This is how I justify buying this, right? Because it's going to be handed down, not through my family, but through friends and through whatever for years to come. So it's going to be worth it, right? 100%.
I'm pretty impressed with it. I got to tell you, just, the game is a good game. It's a fun game, but playing it like that was really an experience. So, but I love tricking out my stuff. And that's why we started Game Toppers in the first place. So we're going to move on to our sponsorship, Game Toppers. LLC.com. You can still late pledge. We have finished all of our Wave 2 delivery in the United States, and we're just finishing up the Canadian Wave 2 segment. Everything except the leg kits and the dining covers, which are coming soon. So you can actually late pledge for a Game Topper system, a lot of accessories, over 20 different styles of game mats, premium 3.6 millimeter stitched edge mats, some of the finest mats in the industry that I've played on. Beautiful stuff. You can still late pledge and take advantage of some of the package deals and bundle deals from the Kickstarter. That's going to go away here in a couple weeks. And the reason it's going to go away is we are going to be launching another Kickstarter, hopefully at the middle of May. And this is going to focus a lot on our Mycroft, our big 4-foot by 6-foot table, and the new leg kits for that table. And we're also going to have a bunch of package things coming along. But the truth is, the world has changed in the last 2 years, and we have to make some adjustments to our pricing. And some of the items are going to go up. There are still some packages that are extremely good deals that you might want to take advantage of if you've been looking at a Game Topper, you've been looking at the mats, some fantastic deals, and they're shipping out within 1 week now, because it's all basically in stock with the exception of these leg kits that are coming shortly. So join us at GameToppersLLC.com. You can check out all the goodies and get your own portable game table that turns your existing table into a high-quality board game table. And now you can even get a full leg version. So GameToppersLLC.com. Wait, there's more. That's first time I felt like I was doing an infomercial.
I'd hire you. I'd have you infomercial for me, Burky. That was good. It was warm.
You're the man.
Badger's just gonna die slowly. Leave this bit in the podcast. The silence is golden.
That's my one problem when I mix music here. Like, I can't leave silence. I just have to fill it with something.
I'm going to keep my arms off the table. I usually have a tripod for my camera, and my camera is on top of my Kabuki kid is saying I'm bouncing all around, and I know I probably am. It's on my computer, and that screen is bobbing a little. So I will try not to touch the rails.
I have no excuse.
Because I'm off the rails.
I live in tectonic plates.
Well, so with that, we are going to go into our next segment, the news segment, things that make you go,
I totally forgot that we got drops for this.
Oh, no,
stuff.
here we go again.
Lucky I can cut all this out.
It's like, okay, you're supposed to be there with the drops. You're supposed to have buttons, and you just go doing, and then we do it.
When Kabuki Kid talks, I have to listen.
Well, I listen
visually
to her too.
But then I got to switch tabs to go, we're doing videos now. So it's like,
that's how it goes.
So, without further ado, here is the news. This is the Board Game News, where King Burky reflects on some of the current things happening in the board game industry. Some may be good, some may be bad, but they're all things that made our king go,
Okay, this is cool because when we set the script up, Barry had a topic that I was thinking of exactly. So something that made me go, But being that we have Az here, I think we're going to involve him in this conversation because he might have some insight because he's a brilliant fellow. All right. Brilliant, right? He's brilliant.
Right.
He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah, he's got a cat on his lap.
All right. He's brilliant.
$1
we all
million.
So I have another thing I want to talk about, but let's first talk about Badger, your things that made you go that you were going to make me go about.
I don't know why I put it because I wrote this about a month ago, this script. So
yeah, it's a little bit old, but still it works.
But it kind of, when I first heard it, I thought that's the best news that I've heard in a long time. And this news is that Ravensburg has invested in Gamefound. So for those of you who don't know who For those of you who don't know who Ravensburg is a German board game publishing company which has been around for a very long time, and they produce lots of good games. Much more, kind of very popular like Hasbro, but obviously they do good games. And Gamefound is a crowdfunding site, which is very much like Kickstarter, but it's taken primarily just board game stuff. And they have invested money into Gamefound. And obviously they've invested their experience into Gamefound because I've been hearing about this working out the logistics prices around the world, which sounds brilliant and is a weight off, a lot of publishers' shoulders. They don't have to do all this stuff. But that's it. That was just like a wow moment for me, and it made me go wow. The thing that made me go wow.
Well, it made me go also because dealing with European shipments, there's something that they are working on. Gamefound is to help publishers with the VAT situation that we're now all dealing with. And, I'm independently have a VAT accountant now. And it's been a nightmare, honestly, for a lot of people doing Kickstarters in Europe. And Gamefound appears to have a solution. This investment from a company like Ravensburg, then they raised $22 million the first year on Gamefound. So it's quite a thing. I've got something that kind of ties in with this about Kickstarter, but Ravensburger putting their clout behind this puts them in a situation, I think, to put a lot of energy towards development, which maybe they couldn't have done as quickly as they would have liked now. Do you have any insights to that, Az?
So I'll give a little bit of context first. I have actually run 2 Gamefound campaigns at this point. We ran both Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising and also Divinus, both in Gamefound. So I've had the front end publisher side of it. And we've also run 10 pledge managers through Gamefound. So we've also run campaigns on Kickstarter. So I've kind of had the benefit of seeing kind of both sides of the crowdfunding side of this. Yeah. So from the business perspective, I think an investment into Gamefound at this point is great. I think it was going to grow. The platform clearly has shown its stability. They had a very good testing period, and that this investment is only going to, and I think you nailed it when you said this, Burky, accelerate how quickly they can do that growth. Their aspirations to act as crowdfunding, pledge manager, and also marketing company, so the all-in-one package for someone that wants to release board games, would have come together over time, I firmly believe, but this will allow them to do it much quicker. The other flip side to this that I find really interesting and I'm very curious about, and I don't think anything was shared on this, is the gamer side of it, the backer side of it. Do we expect to see any of Ravensburger titles hit Gamefound? Could we see Puerto Rico? Could we see San Juan? Could we see any of those like massive like Ravensburger hits come and see even these deep kind of older, more nuanced Euro titles hit a brand new, more, let's say, prone to big box expansion, big box content, crowdfunding game, and deluxify, upgrade like we're seeing with Tsuro? Could we see a whole redeveloping? And I don't think anything on that's been shared at this point, and I'm curious if any of that was wrapped up in this deal, because I certainly think the likes of Simon, we know are deep into the crowdfunding scene, but we haven't really seen much of the likes of Asmodee. We saw them buy Board Game Arena. We've seen them move towards the digital platforms. We haven't yet seen Asmodee take a swing and move towards crowdfunding. So in a way, this is kind of legitimizing a little bit more what crowdfunding is in our industry by having this big, well-known, very old company come and support this as a revenue stream and as a channel to backers. I think is truly incredible. And we're only beginning to see what it could be. And I think Kickstarter, if they weren't paying attention to Gamefound before, and I know they were, but they really need to be paying attention now. And if you want to bring this right up to date, I believe just today or yesterday, it was announced that the CEO of Kickstarter would be stepping down on a phased exit until April. I think they're looking to have him, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but there's change happening at Kickstarter at the same time as there is rapid, acquisition and kind of increase of development at Gamefound. So truly an exciting time to be involved in crowdfunding.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And I think one of the things that made me go in collaboration, I think they tie together a little bit, was a recent ICV2 article that talked about tabletop games have set new records in Kickstarter in 2021. And what it basically says is they grew 13% in 2021 from $237 million in 2020 to $272 million last year. Now, I remember in 2019, that number was 170 million. So that's a full 100 million. I mean, it's almost double. So that's a 13% growth rate. But it's interesting to see how the crowdfunding pie will now be cut, because the market always likes innovation. The market likes competition, and sometimes it's good for everybody. Sometimes when all ships rise, that type of philosophy. But in this situation, Gamefound, they might be making a real significant play once they can convince creators, for instance, like ourselves, that the marketing arm is worth the value that Kickstarter has, because the marketing pump that Kickstarter gives you is pretty significant because they're so prolific in our industry.
And believe me, I don't want to take over the podcast with this because I could talk about this for hours. But I think the fact that Kickstarter is the term, it's the Google of the crowdfunding world, is not to be underestimated. That power is unbelievable. Anyone who's run a campaign on Kickstarter will look at your referrals and where you're getting your user acquisition for, where your traffic's coming from. The vast majority of that is natively from the audience already on Kickstarter. And it is clearly massive value there. I think it's worth noting, though, that Gamefound, by specializing only in board gaming, has an extra leg up on building the relationships with the people who are launching campaigns there, because they really know what it's like to run those campaigns. They have so much experience internally. You have to remember that Gamefound comes from Awaken Realms experience. They are one of the biggest companies in all of crowdfunding right now. So yeah, I think it's still early days. I don't think it's for everyone. I think if you've got a new game that doesn't have a big license or a big IP or doesn't have an existing audience, Kickstarter is still kind of the way to go. But I think we've enjoyed experimenting with Gamefound, and with the right projects, you certainly have a decision to make now between, and this is not to rule out Game on Tabletop and Indiegogo, and there are still a lot of very successful localized crowdfunding platforms. We use one in Poland called Spranto. We've got some of the top ever crowdfunding campaigns on there, because sometimes people in local countries have different budgets, different expectations, different shipping issues, and they just want to support a crowdfunding project through something that's close to home. And that makes a lot of sense. But when it comes to, if you're in the Western world, especially America and Western Europe, it's now Kickstarter and Gamefound, I find, that are just your decision.
Well, this was an awesome, short, abbreviated topic. I think we could do a whole
I could go for hours on that one. Yeah.
And because it's so interesting, and there's so many different things to talk about relating to crowdfunding and customer experience, all kinds of different topics we could delve into. But this is it made us go I say we got several people in the castle. Bree is here, Rick Ortloff is here. Kabuki Kid, she's here. And so thank you all for joining again. And we're going to move on to our next segment with our special guest, Az Drummond from Lucky Duck Games, with our What Game is Behind the Door.
Someone in Babblot has been a very naughty person and been thrown into the dungeons of Babblot.
But Burky and Badger are nice people, and they're going to give them 3 questions to try and worm their way out of their prison sentence in What Game is Behind the Door?
Woohoo! Well, tell everybody what our show is going to do, Sir Badger.
Yes, so we have Az in our dungeon for being too cuddly. He's been parading around our streets and our convention sites.
You know, he's like one of those
with
cuddly
his-
panda bears, but those ones, those red-headed ones that look kind of like a rat. You know, they're, what are they called? Those things? Not a wallaby, but a
koala.
No, not a koala. He looks, he's nice like a koala, but no, it's like a koala's got big noses. He didn't have big
No, they
nose.
don't.
No.
Are you
Well,
thinking
don't
about a
have
red
big-
panda, Burky? Like
Red panda. That's what I'm talking about.
what are those red panda things called? They're like pandas and they're red.
Yeah, well, that's the one I actually is called a red panda. Duh.
So,
Duh.
I'm Strawberry Sunset. Just so everyone knows in the podcast, this is not red. This is Strawberry Sunset or maybe African Sunrise on the beard. This is not red. Just to be
Oh,
clear.
it's not red.
It's not red.
no.
Dang. All right, Sir Badger.
Okay, right. Yeah,
Oh,
so
look.
I'll tuck
Kabuki
your
Kid's
phone.
got my back. Firefox. I can live
Firefox.
with Firefox. Yeah, that's
Firefox.
good.
Firefox, that's Clint
Is it
Eastwood,
still a-
no?
Is that still a browser we use these days? Firefox? Is it fallen into disrepute? I don't know. Like, is that... I remember using
What?
Firefox as a kid.
Why do I still think of an aeroplane with Firefox? Oh, well. Anyway, in our dungeon, he's going to be interrogated. We got 3 questions for him, and he's going to try and worm his way out of his prison sentence by trying to baffle us and stifle us. And so we do this in the game show style, if you're a regular viewer, listener, and you're going to have to try and guess with us. But don't tell us, because it's more funny when we fall flat on our faces. Okay. So, question number 1 is, what was the last game that Az had purchased? And we're going to do this in a kind of 20 questions style, where Burky and I will both ask 5 questions each. And after we've asked a question each, Az is going to show us a component. And we will explain it to you, podcast listeners, so you can try and guess while you're driving to work or cutting your lawn on your luxurious Mercedes-Benz lawnmower.
Yes, like that one.
Running over cats accidentally, and then turning your grass into a kind of sunset-y orange color.
No, bad visual. Bad visual.
Bad visual. Sorry.
So,
Question number 1.
Can I just say before we get into the questions, I might have been far too soft with this. I didn't realize that me getting out of prison was dependent on me winning this, so I feel like I picked a far too easy game. Oh no!
Oh no! Well, we are incredibly skilled at this, so very seldom does anybody stump us. Very, very seldom, because we generally always crush our enemy. Our opponents. You know, what I mean.
Listen back to the January podcast to see if that was true.
Okay, we're not talking about that one.
Okay.
All right. So, first question for those of our listeners that know, I always have a standard first question. Does it come in a Ticket to Ride size box?
It does not.
No, it does not.
It does not.
Okay.
My standard question is it purchased in is it a game that was published in the excuse me. Is this a game that has been published in the past 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
2 years.
So,
Okay.
component moment number 1.
Component moment.
God, this is going to be too easy.
Let's start with the hardest one.
Okay,
That looks
well,
familiar.
he's got a small round cardboard chit that's yellow that has a pair of crossed swords.
Spears.
Okay, or spears, not swords. Spears.
They're called spears in the castle of Babylon.
Yeah, spears, tomato, potato, tomato, whatever. So
See, he calls you AZ, but doesn't call me BADGER. That's strange, that.
I have to fight with Arizona though. Everyone knows Arizona, and I think uses AZ. So I'm trying to get them to change it because it's ruining my reputation. The entire
we
state
hate that.
needs to. Yeah, it's ass.
That's wrong. So, well, I'm still not sure on that one. The only thing I can think of is Onk.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a guess, Badger?
I don't have a guess, no. So
Okay,
go
number
to
two question. Is this primarily a Euro game?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is this
barking up the wrong tree?
you're barking off in Arizona somewhere. Is this a 2-player combat game?
Define combat.
Kind of Risk or
Yes.
War of the Rings. It is a 2-player kind of head-to-head thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get some more information out of him.
I will do. I will.
So it is a
cushion.
combat game then.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Component number 2.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
There's okay.
Oh, come on, camera.
It looks like a little gray cardboard chit, and it has a Pompeii written on it, and it looks like a Italian emblem of their eagle, like the Roman eagle thing from ancient Rome type thing, Pompeii. So what was just done within 2 years for Pompeii Roman combat game? Oh, that's not good. I should know this then. I don't have a guess.
No.
Rick did point out that these might not be spears; they could be javelins, which might change everything.
Not spears. He's trying to
everything.
deceive us. When I said swords, he tried to turn my sword into what I meant, a javelin, into a spear.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, number 3. Is this game made by a European publisher?
Ooh.
Geographically or politically?
European, Asian,
Continent.
Continent. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That really hurt me. And I'll explain later. I've given so much away.
Yeah, that sounds like it could be Portal Games or something.
Okay. I don't know what other question to ask because it's a combat game, obviously set in the Roman times. It's definitely not Asterix, which Caesar's Empire, because I've got that, and it doesn't have tokens like that.
I want to see the mouse pad again, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just wait until I get my hands on that license. Oh, we're going to make millions.
You will do, and you'll make me very happy.
I already want to. I don't even know what it is, but I want to play it.
Just an Asterix and Obelisk, anything.
Yeah.
You don't even have a question.
Is this game set 50 years BC?
I'm not a historian. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
boy.
Sorry, it's an asterisk in joke. It's how every asterisk novel begins. It's like in 50. The year is 50 BC, and all of France has been occupied. All of France? No.
Let's
Or
say
Gaul.
yes, just for the heck of it. Yeah, it is. Sure, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so third component. See, he's so sure we're going to get this, and it's like, here we're getting stumped.
It's another token. Yeah, I knew it.
It's another token. It's a Roman Colosseum or a Roman bathhouse. Just had an idea.
You did you?
This isn't Trajan.
Is that your question, Burky?
Yeah.
No, that's
Your
his
question is a
guess.
guess?
Yeah.
Yes,
Is it
yes.
Trajan?
No.
Oh.
It's definitely not Foundations of Rome. That's just for sure. That still
No.
hasn't been delivered.
That's coming soon. We'll talk about
I'm just gonna pick a glory to Rome. No.
that. Ugh. See, now something's starting to click.
And
Okay.
It's not Euro. It's not Euro.
Well, these are little cardboard pieces here, and
I wonder what his next one's going to be. It's going to be a little round chit. It's going to be green. When it's going to have like a centurion's hat on it.
Keep talking. I'm sure I can find one that matches. Just rubbish here.
Oh, no.
is this a remake game?
Good question. Come on, Az. You should have BGG on the side here.
Or
No,
republish type of game.
It is not a remake. It is not a remake.
Okay.
No, but is it a
republishing.
a republishing, skinning, deluxifying, blah blah blah?
No.
Okay.
It is
No.
not. Kabuki Kid is going to be freaking out.
Yeah.
Because I
Okay.
probably know this. I
Okay,
want to
is
play it because I love
this-
this theme.
Game of rolling right?
No.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good question. Choosing words carefully, Bree says. I shouldn't even be looking at the chat.
No, don't look at the chat. I'm looking at BGG.
I'm
and
turning it
keeping
off. Okay. I forgot, but nobody said nothing. They're guessing at home too. So it looks like you're messing with all of us.
Yeah. So component number 4.
I know it looks very similar, but it is distinctly different.
Green.
Oh, good grief. So this is a little cardboard chit on there's a line in the middle. On the bottom, there's a 2. On the top, there's a 4. It's upside down, so it's like orientated. One, and it looks like they have little short swords.
Oh, come on, Cover, get the swords. Yeah, the little short swords.
Little short swords, not javelins, not spears, not crossbows. These are swords.
So this is giving me the impression it's kind of a small game.
I'm wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just decided not to show you any of the 72 miniatures included, just because that would be too easy.
Yeah.
I
when
want to
you-
say you need to show 72 miniatures on the next clue.
500
From the
dice
same
that-
game. Yeah.
It's reminding me of Battle Line for some reason. The old Reiner Knizia 2-player combat game, but card game, but
Okay.
very
guess.
question. Yeah.
My guess, I'm just picking a game at random from BGG. Caesar sees Rome in 20 minutes. Yes, that's a
Correct.
game.
Oh,
And I didn't get to show my favorite component, which was going to be the Caesar token bag, which really
Wow.
would have given the game away.
all right.
go.
Well, tell us about this game.
and
So,
why
I mean,
you
I'm
bought
not
it.
going to lie. Kabuki Kid had it on the first component, which was incredible. This is quite new. This is from Plastic Soldier Company. It is a 2-player abstract game where you're trying to battle as either Caesar or as Pompey for control over. It's a very light area control game, but it's not a bag builder, but you are drawing from a bag these selection of tokens, which I showed you. Some are battle tokens, which come with these beautiful split side tokens, so you can orientate where you want to commit your forces. Every token lets you decide to put your power, your influence essentially, into 2 separate areas. So how you orientate them is crucial. But every time you set up the game, you have a random deployment of different bonus powers. Like I have here the kind of like little secret. Yeah, there you can see them there. You have little secret boards that you hide your tokens behind, and then inside of this you've got a little description of all the different powers in the game that show you when you randomly put these province tokens out onto the map, you're going to have a slightly different game every time you play, because you can lose a zone but still get the bonus, which means it's always a really tight back and forth game of who's going to come out on top, and you can win essentially by getting all of your influence out into the map. But you don't necessarily have to do it by battle or control. You can also do it by controlling the Senate. It has a lovely little system, so simple to learn, but really rewarding. And I'm a big fan of 2-player, very easy to learn, but deep strategy games. And this scratches that itch perfectly. And if you're interested, and Kabuki Kid did say this, and this is why I struggled with re-implementation, Blitzkrieg from Plastic Soldier Company is also Palo Mori. Very similar feeling. Different setting, of course, and it focuses not on area control, but on more push and pull, more like Twilight Struggle kind of power balance across the different theaters of war. Similar feeling, but different setting and different kind of mechanical undercurrent. Really great games.
So it sounds great. I love Paulo. He's designed some of my favorite games.
Ooh. Well, like Blood Rage.
No. Dogs of War,
Dogs
Libertalia.
So this was a tough question for me, this last game you purchased, because I went to Aircon just a couple of weeks ago in Harrogate in the UK, just for one day, and it was an amazing time, so wonderful. But I basically went to every single game store that was there and bought at least 2 games from each one. So I picked up these, I picked up Unmatched, I picked up Dune Imperium. I just went a little bit off the reels, I think. It was my first convention as a punter in like 2.5 years. So I was like,
As a punter?
As an attendee, sorry.
Oh, as an attendee. I was punting. Yeah. I thought, wow, he plays football too.
He's
really good.
Yeah.
That's why he buys the game. He puts them on a little stool thing and then he runs back.
Punts them.
Good.
Yep. This is how you call your gaming collection. You pump them.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man,
if your foot goes through the box, it's a rubbish game. You're never going to play it.
Now that's a TikTok video. Punting games.
I that's a way to end my career. It's like, would you like to donate these games or sell these games or give them to someone? No, I'm just going to kick them.
This takes the component drop and totally blows it out of the water, right?
Oh, there's bound to be some alliteration there. What could we do with punt? Like, I mean, because component kick is it's not really very good.
Publisher.
Oh, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on it. There's something there.
Okay, question number 2.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, what is the game that Az is most excited about getting? He has already drawn
He's a budding artist, and he's hoping this is his moment.
Oh, I'm genuinely excited for this. Like, I'm excited for the game. It is one of the most concise games I've played in a long time, and I am thrilled. And I'm very excited to reveal my artwork of it. Like, this is... Don't judge me.
Wait for it. Ooh, he did. He's done several of these. Okay, it looks like a little handheld screen, if you will. I can't read the writing on the bottom, but it's like he's
Badger and Burky.
That's just Badger.
Oh, Badger and Burky. Wow. So this perhaps I'm not sure if this is reflective of a handheld device with a screen. There's a picture of like a cloud or a butterfly. I think it's
a brain with wings.
A brain with wings. It's like a brainy butterfly. Is it Wing Brains?
Yeah.
It's
So it could be like a little
Oh,
game console, or it could be like a Pokemon card with a bit of text underneath.
It's that new game about blow your mind. Mind blow. What's it called? Is it Mind Blow?
Kabuki Kid needs to be like a special guest at some point. They're on point with guesses.
We would love to have Kabuki Kid. Kabuki Kid, you have a standing invitation to come on the Burky and Badger show.
Again.
We'll pay you to come on the Burky and Badger show.
We'll pay you to help us win and keep these guys in our
I didn't say we were going to pay her very much. I got $1. I got $1. Maybe $2.
So was there an official guest there, Burky, or was that just?
Yeah, I think I know what it is, but I think this is a part of the game.
Do you know the show Catchphrase? Are you familiar with this show? Do you have this in America? Catchphrase. You say what you see. Just say what you see. So
say what you see.
Say what you see.
Mind blow. Mind fly.
Oh, you're just so close.
Mind blown.
Minecraft.
Mind fly.
Mind
butterfly.
It's so close.
Mind.
Your manners.
Mind wing.
What do you say?
Mind.
Moth.
Mind
Moth.
fly.
What if I told you that this game was involved in the creation of this game was none other than Richard Garfield of Magic the Gathering fame?
Oh.
This is something.
Mind blown.
Where's the blowing? There's no blowing.
No blowing, no wind. It looks like a butterfly, but mind cloud. Mind.
I don't know what to do at this point.
Mind. Come on, Barry, you got it? Something?
I'm all out of guesses here.
No, I know what it is because I saw an ad for this just recently, and I went, and then I didn't look at it. Mind crowd, mind.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint. The swirly bit in the middle that you keep saying cloud is the mind. That's the mind part of it.
Okay.
So all this is the mind. What is the rest of the other stuff around the outside?
Card.
Mind screen,
Game.
mind
console.
Mind TV.
I thought I was helping, but I clearly wasn't.
Let's just say that Az's art is spot on.
Mind
looks
square.
like
It's very nice.
It looks like something out
Mind
of
cut,
Adventure Time.
Mind frame.
Hold on. I'm gonna help.
He's got a pair of scissors on it. I don't have scissors on my desk. Do you have scissors on your desk?
Okay, there. Well, let's just do this, right? Forget this. It's gone, right?
Okay, mind
butterfly.
Mind insect. Mind.
Oh,
mind,
are you messing with me now?
Mind fly. Mind fly.
Mindset.
Mind.
In
mind hornet. Mind butterfly. Mind bug.
Mind bug.
Mind bug.
That was easy, was it?
No, I cheated. I saw Kabuki Kid said it. I forgot to. After you started, I forgot to turn it off.
Oh,
mind bug.
Okay, if I ever need a synonym for bug, I'm coming to you, Burky, because that was insect fly. Like it was incredible.
I'm good at synonyms.
Synonyms.
Mind bug.
Yeah, this was my interpretation of a brain that was a bug. And I tried to put it on a card because they've got playing cards like Magic the Gathering does.
Sure.
It was because it's a card game. It's all cards. This is what they look like. Oh.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So what are you excited about?
The art looks great.
So here's the thing. I'm a big card gamer, like I always was. I grew up like with Magic the Gathering. I played Pokemon when I was even younger. I then got into Netrunner. Like card gaming is something that definitely was like a gateway into board gaming for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what Mind Bug offers in a very small box is the tightest 2-player heads-up, simplest card game I've ever played. And I've played a lot of digital and physical card games. And the nuance of it is very simple. You have a big deck of cards, but at the start of each game, you deal 10 to each player, and you just play with those 10 cards each. And those 10 cards make up your deck, and you just have to do as well as you can with those 10 cards, and that is it. But the coolest balancing mechanic of the game is the mind bug. Each player is given 2 mind plugs per game, and at any point when your opponent plays a card, if you don't like the card they played, you can mind bug it to make it yours. So it's like a very small pool of cards. I think there's only in the sample they shared, I think there was 48 cards in the sample. I think there's only going to be something like 80 or something in the Kickstarter, which has been passed, and I think it's in late pledge now. It's a very small pool of cards, but every time you play, you create its little mini meta in its own world. It's delightful, honestly delightful to play, and it scratches that same itch that I love of simple to learn but deep in terms of strategy. You can do drafting with it, you can do kind of organized play and tournament kind of stuff with it if you really want to, but if you were to say, hey, can I have Magic the Gathering boiled down to its very simplest essence possible, that's what they've done. They've gone, here is it in its purest form without any faff.
Is it primarily a 2-player game, or is it?
I do believe so. I don't think there is more player options. I think it's heads up.
Yeah, it's 2-player.
Wow, that looks really cool.
Oh, it's the definitive of like a put it in your pocket and take it with you game, sitting on a train with somebody traveling like at the airport or whatever. It's the definitive like little amazing experience in a tiny box.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
All right, number
mind
3.
one.
I'm going to turn off my chat here so I don't cheat. I actually wasn't
I would have said
trying
this is
to,
the
but-
perfect.
Oh yeah, I mean, to
I
fall
love
out
that
with
game.
people, yeah, this is.
I love the mind.
I have
I
a
should have
friend.
just said mind.
Yeah.
The mind. I have a friend I play the mind with whose facial features look exactly the same if they've got a card that's 50 gap away or they've got a card that's 2 gap away. Exactly the same face. It's impossible to read them and understand what they have in their hand. And I'm like, I'm gonna play one. Nothing. Stonewall. Nothing. I'm like, you're meant to be cooperating here. Come on.
I would love to play that with you. We would have so
terrible.
much fun.
I wear my heart on my sleeve, right? I'm really, really emotive. So I'm like sitting there exploding like
I don't have very many emotions, and I tend to be very, very quiet. So
I'm also very quiet.
yes, you're very quiet too.
Until the moment you lose, and then you scream and shout, "What are you supposed to be doing?"
All right, we're going to number 3.
Okay, question number 3 is what is Az's current favorite game, the one that he's playing the most, dreaming of while he's working on other games like the Dark Quarter, and the game he's got the rule book next to his bed. And what we're going to do with this one is Az is going to give us 5 one-worded clues, and we're going to have a guess after each clue to see if we can find out what this game is. Pen and paper ready. There it is.
All right.
Word number 1.
Word number 1.
Word number 1.
Word number 1.
Schemes.
Schemes.
There's an H in there.
Schemes.
Okay.
Okay, that could go a couple different ways. I'm gonna say Sherlock Holmes.
No.
Okay. We already know that he now likes 2-player card games.
Yeah, we're getting some insight to this man.
Yeah, we are. We're learning lots about you. I'm gonna say
he's a red panda.
I'm gonna say what's it called? Oh no, the same game Stephen Bonacore loves, Battle of the 5 Armies. Is that it?
Oh no, that's Lord of the Ring. It's his favorite.
Okay, no, okay. I'm gonna say Battle of 5 Armies.
No.
Okay.
No.
Good guess, Kabuki. Yeah, that's a great game.
Oh, don't look. I'm trying not to look and click off of it at the same time.
I'm not looking. I don't have it on, so I don't have to worry. I just got an email.
Oh, share it with the class, Burky.
I have such a squirrel time, I always answer my emails like immediately. So yeah.
The second
it's just some punter who's spamming him.
He's punting games and sending TikTok videos.
The second
second word
is modular.
Modular schemes, huh? Schemes, modular. So it could be modular tiles, and there's schemes. Schemes. That's a funny word. Schemes.
Yeah.
Schemes.
Scheme, planning, plotting, in modular.
Schemes. It could be multiple schemes.
I'm really terrified by your viewers, by the way. I really feel like they're in my house.
No, that's just Kabuki.
Oh, like seriously, inside my head.
She's inside our heads as well. She knows what
Living rent free.
Schemes.
I'm going to go with Dungeon Twister.
I haven't played it, but there's some of these big new games that I bet you're playing that are Spiel winners, and I'm trying to remember this.
Oh, I love how you hold me in such high regard.
What's the big? I haven't played it yet though, but it just made me think about modular. It's this city management or something it's called. Mega city capital management. Do you know what I'm talking about? The Spiel game, Barry?
No.
Yeah,
No.
last year. Come on.
Last year.
Yeah,
I can't remember last week. I know that last week I played Malhya and Jamaica.
I'm trying to remember
something
if I ate
else. I can't
breakfast
even
or
remember.
not.
Before that, oblivious.
Okay, well, I guess it's not that, so
No.
we'll have to pass.
Okay. Third word is cards.
Cards?
Unsurprisingly, I did
Yeah.
prepare these beforehand actually because I was worried I was going to be too difficult.
Modular, cards, scheming. Schemes.
One man's trash is another man's gold. Yeah, you think they're easy, but sometimes.
Yeah,
This is the game he's most excited about, or this is the
No.
game that is his
He
favorite.
loves.
Always loves this game.
I'll get this game out and I'll just touch it at times. I won't even play it. I'll just I'll just think about it. I'll open it and I'll just look at it and then I'll put it back like it
The
happens.
deluxe version, so he's got that tactile, touchy thing.
Oh.
Ooh!
I'm gonna. How about this? Legendary, Marvel Legendary.
No.
Oh!
Yeah, so obvious. It's Magic the Gathering. Come on. He's got all the cards, all of them like shine in the light. That's why he gets them out and he looks at them. Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering.
Is there a rule book for Magic the Gathering that I could have by my bed? Does that even exist anymore? Would it be like a proper 500-page tome at this point, I feel like?
You're asking someone who hasn't got a clue what Magic the Gathering is.
Oh, next podcast topic.
I know Yu-Gi-Oh's got a rule book which opens up and then you flip it over and then it becomes the playing board. And so like when you need the rules, you got to flip. Oh, I'm not putting cards over.
You have activated my trap card, the entire rule book. Just it's not Magic the Gathering.
Okay, number 4.
Living.
Okay, it's living card game.
Yeah.
Here it is. Living card game. Modular. Here it is. The Lord of the Rings living card game.
No.
No, he's laughing and he makes me think I got it.
I'm going to go with the Arkham Horror living card game.
No.
Oh, crud.
There's only so many more left.
We're so close.
There
okay,
is.
number 5. We can
I
do
can't-
this, Barry.
I can't really say this one. I feel like this is for me to get out of prison, right? So
No, we're 1-1 now.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is
yeah,
for him
this
to
is
get
it.
out.
This is like
is it, but there's a little asterisk by it.
the word I had beside this would
No,
really
there's
be
not.
far
There's
too
a big
nice.
asterisk next to a very big obelisk.
Let's say hero.
Hero. Okay, schemes, modular. Oh, this has got to be.
Someone in chat got it after the first clue. I was so impressed. So impressed.
Well, thanks a lot for telling us that. Because now I want to click my screen.
Don't do it.
Hero.
This is the game that everybody loves. It's Marvel Champions.
Is that your final guess?
Yes.
Correct.
Woo!
I wouldn't.
Marvel Champions is legitimately the only game that I've ever really truly played solo and enjoy playing solo and keep buying all the content for it every single time it comes out. And I literally am thinking about building decks and looking at the superheroes and looking at all the expansions constantly. And I think I spend more time looking at the cards and thinking about building decks than I actually do playing this game. It's honestly just a wonderful system. It's very Fantasy Flight games. You know, if you've played any of the living card games before, you know, there's nothing that's going to reinvent the wheel with this one. It doesn't really have narrative, but it just has really interesting scenarios and villains that are scheming. And you can really, I think my favorite thing about it is you can really tweak the power level. You know, you can be like, oh, I want to do it easy or medium or hard or expert or super expert. There's like, you can always set yourself a nice, interesting challenge. And it's one of the only games that I've really considered making myself like a kind of completionary grid thing. Do you know, you see at the start of the year, someone says, I'm going to list 10 games and I'm going to play each one 10 times. Marvel Champions on its own makes me want to do that, to play all the heroes against all of the villains on all the difficulties with all of the modules. There's so much there. And it's actually a little sad for me because I played at an event at a lovely store in the UK called Beanie Games a few months before the first lockdown happened. And then I've not played this at a store or in an event since then. And I feel so sorry for Fantasy Flight Games, who I'm sure had a big organized play program, lots of support and playmats and Marvel goodies and all the kind of stuff that you love to have by going to those kind of things. And just feels like none of it happened. But the game itself is still great. And, you know, Marvel, it's everywhere, but it's still really enjoyable.
Yes,
Yeah. Trent got it right. Good old friend Trent Turner. Yes, that was I just turned on the chat too, and I saw it was the one that I was thinking about. Somebody mentioned it, but it was that Crime City,
Micro macro Crime City, with the giant
has a big
Crime
map.
City.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking about.
Don't worry, Az. You don't feel you're not strange. I do that with every game. I get them out, I look at them, I touch them. Sometimes I flick through the rule book just to try and remember what the rules are, and then I just put them away.
I feel because there was a little bit of an asterisk about the second one, us getting it, because I accidentally saw somebody say the bug word, but I had the first word.
Oh, you did. Oh, you did. And
so
every possible variation of the second word. So I feel like you earned it. Like,
yeah, Trent, you win. You win a prize.
Isn't winning enough these days? Does everyone have to get something physical?
You
Surely
are
just
the winner. You are the winner.
You get to help Burky on his stand at BGGCon.
Hey, Trent is awesome at the booth at BGGCon, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about workhorse. I mean, he was there every moment.
He's a right old baldrick, he is.
Yeah, you got to meet him. That's right.
Yeah, I did.
And I lost what I was thinking.
Squirrel. Okay.
Oh, so I think because there's an asterisk, so I think we should let Az out of the prison because a lot of people need to hug a red panda.
Oh, yeah. Hugs, cuddles, and snuggles, man. They make the world go round. Like consensual, of course, consensual, but that's
yes, of course. All right, so our next sponsor, we're going to move right along, is our good friends at Arcane Wonders. I tell you, We have had Arcane Wonders sponsor our show since the very beginning. I love the team over there. Robert Geislinger and Walter Barber and Brian Pope, the owner, and the other team members that are doing such great job. They have some amazing games. And Barry mentioned it a moment ago, but the Foundations of Rome games have reached the fulfillment center now. They've got a really huge fulfillment project going out. I think it's the AEG Dead Reckoning is probably the big thing. I'm not exactly sure, but soon as that fulfillment is done, Foundations of Rome are going out domestically and into Canada. They're also moving all of their product in throughout Europe. And we did the Foundations of Rome Game Toppers mat that's perfect and was inspired by the artwork of Foundations of Rome. We had our artists do it, but you can get it in all the different sizes from Game Toppers. But there's some specific pledges you can get directly from Arcane Wonders, the 3-foot by 5-foot size. And they're beautiful stitched edge Roman mats for Foundations of Rome. They also have the hit game, Picture Perfect. Look at that baby. I haven't even got it played yet. I've seen it played, and people are loving this. This got one of the headline notices at Gen Con this year as one of the premium games. And also the game Furnace, which is a engine building game. People are raving about that game. So check out arcanewonders.com for all the great games there, and check out their latest Kickstarter late pledge manager for Foundations of Rome and Freedom 5 at arcanewonders.com. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to move right into the next segment, the Babble.
And now it's time for the Babble, 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 Burky and Badger's Board Game Babble.
Two monkeys.
The top hat on the one on the right is so good. Like I've got to get you a monocle, Burky, and get you to recreate that at some point with your top hat on. Like
I could do that. Oh, that's awesome. Well, the Babble topic, this is really exciting. Do you want to go ahead and tell Badger what we're going to be doing here?
You're muted, Badger. No.
Who's muted?
Just to us. Just to us.
Just us. It's just me and you.
Push it.
Just the two of us walking in the sand. How can it be wrong?
Sail away with me.
Another one.
That's gonna be fun syncing that up in the podcast.
We just lost everybody.
Oh man,
they're never coming back.
That's it. I want Bee Gees now.
What is your karaoke song, guys? If you got us to get up and sing, what are you belting out to the midnight masses?
Oh boy, I got lots of those.
It's really hard. All the songs that I like, you can't find on karaoke lists.
It's not a karaoke song, then.
Yeah,
that's a good one. It's got to be cheesy. It's got to be awful.
I can't think. I think the only one that I can find in France when they do karaoke is Queen. We Are the Champions.
Oh, love it. Love it.
You could belt that out.
That's really gets really hard when it gets to the we'll keep on fighting till the end.
Oh, but then the whole room supports you at that point, right? And they're in it together. No one leaves you on your own when you're at that moment, right?
Yeah. No, that's
I
true.
hope not.
No. But then again, the other good thing about that, quickly, I have to say, is there's a very famous artist, a bit like Elvis, who was still alive up until about 5 years ago. He released lots of songs which were cover songs of English songs. So there's like the Animals, House of the Rising Sun. So I can just go on and sing the English version of that over his version, which is a blessing as well.
Love it.
Or what's the other one? Wow, wonder. You can cough now, Burky.
Hey, a karaoke night, probably at the start of a convention would be good. End of convention, we'd all have lost our voices. Probably not a good idea. It'd have to be like setup day evening. We should go.
Yeah,
play
I think you're
some
right about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. It
Sorry,
might be all of our
completely.
moments. I don't know what we're doing anymore, but I'm thinking about music. I know that.
Welcome to the Babbling Ballads of the Bards. We are talking about songs that we are going to sing at our next performance.
Nicely done, Mr. Minstrel.
The Babbling Bards.
Okay, we are
Yeah,
babbling about expansions.
Yes, because I've been getting out a lot of games, like I've just mentioned. I get them out, I look at them, I take them apart, I touch them, and then I put them away. I do that especially a lot with expansions, because there's a lot of expansions on myself which don't get touched or played or mixed in with the games. And I'm just wondering how people feel about expansions. Are they an essential part of the game to make the base game better than what it actually is? Are they just like an add-on, which is another way for the publisher to keep money coming in, this revenue coming in with their big titles? But also, is it to like lead up to their next title? So it's like they're keeping a kind of lifeline in the media buzz by having, is an expansion, and then here's our new game, and then there's an expansion for that game, and then we're gonna do an expansion for that first game. But anyway, I'm getting beside the point here. But is it a marketing trap? Is it a good thing to have? Is it a bad thing to have? What I shouldn't really just keep saying, is it good? Is it bad? Because I sound like a really bad TV presenter, but that's what I am. So
yeah, you wrote down the word money grab. I wasn't going to say that, but you said that. You wrote it, and that means I could have written.
Is it a trap to catch punters? But you wouldn't have understood that.
It's a punter trap.
It's
It's a trap.
Okay, I'll give you my side of it from a retail perspective first of all. So if you're going into your hobby store and you're wanting to buy a game from a brick and mortar store or from a website, board game specialist. So when I talk about hobby, I'm talking about games where people who already like board games and this is what they spend their expenses money on. We would average and expect to sell only about 20 to 25% of the number of expansions compared to the base game of any title. So if we sell 100 of something, we probably wouldn't expect to send 20 to 25 of an expansion.
Wow, really?
So
I would have thought that would have been a lot higher.
Well, so here's the thing. I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to think if 4 people buy your game, only one of them is going to feel strongly enough about saying, I want more content for it.
Yeah.
Like on average. Like, so I think it varies. I think evergreen titles and titles that are really long lasting, your Ticket to the Rides of the world are an exception, not a rule, generally speaking. Okay. When you look at the vast majority of expansions at retail, I think that 20 to 30%, 20, 25% is actually probably the most realistic number if you speak to like distributor level. So is it a money grab at retail hobby stores? I don't think so. Not generally speaking, unless you've got a title that is selling like hotcakes and you just gotta keep printing more because they need new. So there's a conversation to be had about whether printing a slightly different game that's not an expansion. Like you look at the Unmatched series, they've done release after release after release of slightly different settings with the Buffy settings and the Sherlock Holmes one and now the Jurassic Park one. They're almost like expansions, but they're not. They're standalone. They're growing a series. Those I all expect to continue selling at roughly the same amount. But if you're saying true expansion, which means you must use content from a base game and you must own that first to be able to play that new expansion, that's the kind of numbers I expect. At a retail level, wouldn't be doing it unless there's a justification behind the scenes. And there's many, many of those.
But isn't some expansions are very kind of like thin on content? Aren't they really a money grab? You're paying an extra 20 or 30 euros, pounds, dollars for something which someone said, you know what, let's add a red panda in this and make it so that they can break the rules.
Well, then it sells
and then
out.
put it in a box with a load of other cards, which are
you should make a
just
game
different
about
colors.
red pandas and put Az on the front cover because that.
I'm in. I'm on board. Sign me up. I'll get my lawyer on the signing the release form right now. So yeah, I think there's plenty of examples of that, of what you've described there, Badger, when you said it's light on material and it's light on rules. It's adding a slight variation, but it's not really adding something that's makes it feel like a different enough experience. In that case, I would expect the expansion to be substantially less than the MSRP of the base game that it's supporting and adding to. However, the component value, whether you're printing an expansion or base game, doesn't change. What really is changing is how many hours of design and development time you're putting into it, and then
Exactly.
art time and component time. Are you just relying on a lot of the base game stuff, reusing it, repurposing it, or is it actually a brand new thing you're designing? So that actually results, I find sometimes, in expansions being undervalued because you're actually putting work into design, work into development, work into artwork, potentially same amount of effort as you put in with the components, but probably less because there's probably not the same number of components realistically. But you've put the same amount of love in, and you have to sell it less because that's really what expansions tend to need to be, less than the core game they were. So it's a fine balance.
So you hit on something I think is really important, because I know there's some sentiment out there. I don't feel this way, but I understand how people could feel this way. That the game was designed with the intent for a future expansion. Yeah. And so in that process of the art design, the one that really sticks out to me, and I love this game and I absolutely love the expansion. I didn't put it on my list of, we're going to talk about our 3 expansions, but is the game Core Worlds. I love that game, but they came out with the game, Stronghold Games came out with this, and they came out with the Galactic Empire expansion, or Galactic Order expansion. Well, to me, it's a must expansion. It makes the game so much better, but they had actually included the icons for the expansion in the base game. Ooh. So a lot of people said, oh, they were going to do that. Well, why didn't they just include it to begin with? And I'm like, well, yeah, but the base game is a dang good game, and it's quite large and immersive to begin with. And so it's like, well, if this game hits and people like it, then we can move forward. But if we don't do this ahead of time, we're going to have to replace all those cards. What do you think about that?
So my opinion on that is that from a gamer standpoint, I totally get that. Like, I think the feeling of this game isn't good unless we add this expansion in, and I've had that gaming session. Was like, have you got the Lords of Waterdeep Skullduggery expansion? I forget the Skullport name exactly, but if you don't have that expansion, I don't want to play it, because that adds in more backstabbing and more interesting interaction between players. And without that, it's too dry. I've been there. I understand that. And it's not a good player experience to feel like that's a must-have, because it devalues what you've got if you play someone else's thing and you feel like you're being forced. Yes, Scoundrels of Skullport. Thank you, Kabuki. I knew I had Skull in there and Port in there somewhere. And chat saving me. And that's a terrible end experience to feel like that thing you've got is now lessened by an expansion existing. However, a publisher or designer that's able to think, I will add these things into the core game in the hope that if the game sells well and we get enough orders at distribution and it goes as well as we like, we can then follow this up. And the timing is the crucial thing, but you never expect a customer to think about this, of course, right? But if I think about it, I print a base game, and at that moment I'm printing it. I've then got to wait 3 months for that thing to come along and get it, travel through wherever it's coming from to stores and distribution. There's a big gap then between working out how well is that game going to be received. If you've backed in something to help with a future idea that you hoped would be successful, that lets you make the expansion and then print that, and so you're releasing something 6 or 9 months later, amazing. All credit to you. I think publishers and artists and designers should be encouraged to think that way. Plan for your game to be successful. If, however, you print your base game and expansion at the same time, your base game doesn't sell well, and now you've got 5,000 units of your expansion sitting in a warehouse, what do you do at that point? From a publisher standpoint, I get it. From a gamer standpoint, I get it. It's kind of a lose-lose, but I think perception should encourage you to be open-minded and see it as a potential positive. So that's.
I don't know that Stronghold actually produced that Galactic Order expansion ahead of time. I don't know that happened, but they had prepared for it. So I think it's kind of interesting when we're talking about expansions that we were talking about crowdfunding earlier. And so often Kabuki Kid made a comment that she got expansions with the Dead Reckoning. I just got mine as well. And so many times when we're going into a crowdfunding, one of the big pushes and one of the things that help that content creator or that creator generate more sales and all of that kind of stuff is a lot of the add-ons that I know some people hate exclusives.
Pokemon mentality.
And
Got to catch them all.
Yeah, it's like fear of missing out, and these are exclusive, or I don't really consider miniatures or extra toys expansions, but sometimes they can be, like the Blood Rage, for instance. The Gods expansion. Well, they included miniatures, but in my mind, I really, really wanted all those expansions right away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A bit like me in Descent. It was like they bring out the miniatures for the lords, because in the base game they were just tokens. And it was like, I've got to buy them all, because they all got like a little secret mission and they all got a power card.
Oh.
But I felt that it was like money grab.
You tapped into something amazing there, which is, at what point do you overlap your deluxification of components, but overlap it with gameplay? And that's dangerous, because you should allow people who want the money and can raise what I would call your average basket. The people who can help buy miniatures, art books, neoprene mats, metal coins, who are going to help invest in your game because they love it. Give them a way to love it and enjoy it more. But be careful not to intertwine gameplay stuff with that as well, because you don't want to limit the people who want to enjoy your game fully, full experience of it, but don't necessarily care about that deluxification. I personally like to avoid that, because I think, Burky, to come back to what you said, I didn't address it properly, but I think what you were kind of touching on there was, do you feel like your game has actually had something removed from it? Do you think that expansion should have been in there to begin with?
Correct.
I think that's subjective potentially, but the critical thing comes down to is you as a player need to be able to look at either the rulebook or the crowdfunding campaign or the box if you're in a store, and decide, is that box on its own enough justification for you? If you then get the expansion later and feel like that should have been in there, I think that's going to be really down to a person-on-person basis.
I agree.
Decide,
It is subjective, and you hear the term must-have expansion, and it's like, okay, using that terminology, there's some games that I would say, okay, I have to have this expansion for this to be a better game for me. But I was thinking about it. I was writing down some notes, and it made me think about that I hadn't thought about before the show, but games that I got the expansions and I wish I wouldn't have. Because I didn't like it, and I wish,
So that's a great. Just to interject for a second, if you had the option to pay, let's say $10, $20, let's just say like a percentage more for the core game, and that had been forced upon you, it had been part of the gameplay experience, you would have ended up probably not enjoying that game at that point then.
Right. Yeah. So there's a flip side of it, and I know a lot of people, when it comes to crowdfunding too, is they're like, hey, can you just make us a base game with cardboard and then let us buy the other stuff later? What are you laughing at? His Splendor box?
I reached the Splendor box because I love how this conversation has gone, because this is the perfect example for me of a publisher trying to cover all bases, right? Because Splendor has been around for years. I mean, God, I don't know. It's one of the first board games I ever played. It's got to be at least 10 or 15 years old now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So Cities of Splendor came out with 4 mini expansions. So each one of the 4 gives you a slightly different way to modify the core gameplay experience. Now, if I'm Mark Andre, if I'm this lovely gentleman here, and I love Splendor, it's mathematical, it's predictable, you can kind of learn the game, you can do it really strategically. These 4 expansions all mess with that. Like they take the core experience of Splendor and change it inexorably so it's not the same game anymore. That's a perfect example, I think, of expansions. But the 4 mini expansions change them in different ways. I actually only really like one of them. There's one I'm okay with. 2 I never ever play. And the one I like is where you're moving the stronghold around. It creates a little almost control aspect, like a little area control aspect to the shop, because you're kind of saying, I'm reserving that, and then you're nudging someone else off, and then that. But I'm happy that I bought that, and I could trial those different things and then find the one that suited me. But someone else might have found a different experience with that. But I would not probably have bought that game, Splendor, if it had come with all that immediately. I would have, because this core experience of Splendor on its own is so crisp and clean and nice and just enjoyable as it is. That's the way I generally want to play the game.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that. it's I thought about a couple expansions that I got. One of my favorite games is Feast for Odin. And then when we got the expansion, boy, I wanted to go back and play the base game. And the same thing happened to me when Stone Age is one of my kind of go-to gateway worker placement games if people are coming over. That or Lords of Waterdeep, and Stone Age seems to fit that. But when we added the expansion, it was like, I didn't need to buy that expansion. For me, that's just my take on it. And I always buy the expansions because I always want to go all in. So I shouldn't say always, that's a bad characterization, but most of my games that have had expansions that are still on my shelf, I bought the expansion or 2 expansions for,
Okay, so we all buy expansions, but what's the reasons behind our purchases? Is it purely to Pokemon them, or is it because it is the game that you love the most, or is it something else?
So for me, generally speaking, if I really like a game, I'll almost pick up an expansion without even thinking about it.
Me too.
Because I like the game enough to trust the designer or trust the team behind it to try it. I'll not even really worry about what that actually does to change the game. It's different with regards to crowdfunding. And as someone who has run many crowdfunding campaigns in this time, I understand that model of having extra expansion content and such there. And it comes down to not the expansions and not the content. What it usually comes down to is the pledge levels and what that does to the shipping and how that all bundles together. Because realistically, the difference between shipping 1 box and a 2 box from all the way around the world is not that big a leap. So it's very easy to justify spending an extra $20, $30 on an expansion that only increases your shipping by $1 or $2 at that point of pledging for a campaign in some shape or form. So I find that decision-making process different from me on crowdfunding because I'm usually doing a little bit of financials, a little bit of calculation. Whereas when I'm in love with a game that I already have in my hands and I already know I like it, I'll kind of just pick up the expansion just in case. And I've been burned by that. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah,
I got one right here. I was burned by it. It was a crowdfunding campaign, but I bought this at retail. Everdell, Pearlbrook. The first expansion, I think, they came out of Everdell. One of the most beautiful games on the tabletop. This is the one with the big tree, if you don't know it, and it has some beautiful 3D components and gorgeous critter artwork. And one thing I adore about this is that the board that comes with it fits around the side of the tree board, so it fits in perfectly, and it's really great. Did not like it at all. Got completely drawn in by the artwork and the original game, and it fits in and it looks really good. Didn't like it. And have not bought any of the subsequent expansions that have come, even though they now make it symmetrical on the other side of the tree, and they now and it's so pretty. But if the gameplay is not there, then you've lost me for future expansions.
Does it feel like it was designed at the same time as the base game was designed, or does it feel like it was something which was just evolved after? Because I mean, some expansions do that. Some expansions feel like. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, this could have been in the base game and made the game great, but sometimes you're playing an expansion and it's like, my God, this just feels tacked on really bad. This doesn't work. It doesn't. This is in this particular case, it's really weird because aesthetically, I feel like they could have been made at exactly the same time because it's so well implemented. It just feels right from the cards and the tokens, the components, and the board layout. But the game takes it to 120%. It goes too far. There's just an extra level of complication and thing that I feel like when you go through the course of one game, you never get the chance to explore it. There was enough to explore and build and engine build and buy in the base game. This just added extra stuff on top that you don't really get to enjoy. So the idea of even further expansions beyond this, I got completely turned off.
Yeah, for me, when I'm thinking about expansions too, one of the things that I'm looking for in an expansion is more variability because I feel like I've probably played most of the game and I don't want it to be samey. And so it depends on the base game, how much variability is actually in that itself. And then secondly, and sometimes I like it and sometimes I hate it, is the player count. So that it goes from 4 players to 5 players, because sometimes you want that 5-player game, but then you find the expansion does that for you, but then it just convolutes it and makes the game really slog on. And so if an expansion is just there to say, okay, you can play 5 players, but the play sucks at 5, well, I'd rather you not offer that.
Yep. Oh, publishers can't please everybody, right? You get, I want to play 5, I want to play 1 of 5. We're like, you really don't trust us. No, we want a 5-player expansion. We want it. And you give it to them. And they're like, oh no, the publisher was right. This actually isn't great at 5. And you're like, no, listen to us. And do you know what? I'm gonna do a little bit of shilling, but it's not really shilling. It's,
please.
It's a Wonderful World. So what's here? Originally designed and published by Le Boîte de Jeu. And now we actually publish it in America, North America, and Canada. So that's where the little shill comes in. They did something amazing with their second campaign. The first thing they did is up here, Corruption and Ascension. Ascension and Corruption, one of the two. This little one here was an expansion that did exactly what you said, Burky. Added extra cards in. It allowed your player count to get higher. It expanded the game. It's a deck building game, so they just added more and more cards in. But at exactly the same time, in the same campaign, they did a different expansion called War or Peace. All Corruption Ascension did was add more cards in for more deck building, more scoring opportunities, more engine building, more variety. Didn't change the game at all. What War or Peace did, and I haven't even played this yet, is made a little story-driven campaign that comes with the thing I adore. Comes with individual envelopes, each one sealed with its own little story. These are weighty with extra components and extra cards. I think it's 6. So there's there's 6 little missions that you go through and unlock more content as you do. And then at the bottom, there's a secret box with like extra content inside. And I love this because I'm a card gamer. There's a foil pack called the Heritage Pack that I haven't even opened yet that's going to have stuff in it. So this took a game that's about deck building and competitiveness and just kind of one-time play, 30, 45 minutes, and you could add more content to it to take it to more players. And then they said, you know what, let's stick some scenarios in there. Let's stick a campaign. Let's stick a little bit of not legacy, but just evolution of content. So you get to experience the game and the mechanisms that you love, but in a bite-sized, evolving, slightly changing, more narrative way. And I adore this. Like, this is one way to do an expansion, but certainly a way that I appreciate. And sadly, more expensive to make than just cards. Hi, Chris. Because as soon as you put cards in a foil packet, as soon as you have to manually put components into a sleeve and seal that, that's a human doing that. That's somebody having to individually do that. That makes this thing expensive to manufacture, far more expensive than just a couple of decks of cards, which makes it, from a publisher standpoint, a tricky balance between what price you put on it and what justifies it. But from a creative standpoint and an end user enjoyment standpoint, this is wicked.
I think we're going to move on to our top 3. I want to give everybody an opportunity if you just have a final comment. Chris, I see for the Charity Board Gamers here, Chris Godley, I got to meet his family at Tantrumcom, and we got to sit down and play cartographers, and that was so much fun and such a joy. I wish I would have had more time, Chris. That I know I messaged you. I was like, you're running everywhere, and I could have just hung out with these wonderful people for a long time. But
on my bucket list is definitely to go and sleep on Chris's sofa at some point and play games with his family. It is on my bucket list. Like, it has been for a long time, like 3 years.
Yeah, he's very, very gracious fellow. I think one thing that I would like to do too on the show here, because we brought Az on in an atypical way to our show. I didn't get to do a proper introduction. So prior to this is something, Barry, you can edit and put it at the top of the show so we can.
Oh, you're making me work now.
You love doing it. You love it.
I love just putting weird sounds over your voice. So it's like, and welcome to the and Badger Show. Yeah.
And that is why I don't listen. So you ever listen to your own voice?
I have to listen to us all tomorrow.
But we're coming up to go through our top 3 expansions, or as-spansions, as Charity Board Gamer says, in a few moments. But I'd like to just give a little bit of time for Az to actually, he said shill. I don't. I think he's proud of what he does and all of those kind of things, and I think it's totally okay. I want to
use sponsor. That's what it is, lads. We
Oh,
need a new
yeah.
sponsor. Would Lucky Duck sponsor us? We get rid of Burky and his Game Toppers thing.
And then we can just have the duck talk. It'd be
And
better.
it- yeah,
It'd
oh,
be
yeah.
a lot
Don't
better.
even-
and Kabuki. Kabuki replaces Burky.
She can do the duck voice.
Be the Kabuki and Badger show.
Kabuki
Oh.
and Lucky Duck.
Kabuki as in Baz.
Well, I've been looking
Anyway.
for a way out. I got to tell you.
Phew.
So, but I remember the first time I met Az, and this.
Oh
was at,
no! Uh-oh.
This was
Uh-oh.
This was at the. This is good. It was at the UK Games Fair, and this guy's enthusiasm. I mean, it just felt like he was always on, but sincerely on. You know, not just putting his sales voice on, but he was so kind and so friendly. When I first met you, you were working with Mythic, I believe, right?
That's right.
And he ended up getting some of our game toppers for some of the shows and worked out a deal so they could display their games in style. And they were so much fun to work with, the entire team. But Az brought so much energy, enthusiasm to that. He became one of my favorite people. Just even though we don't have a deep relationship, it was like, I love this guy. Just anytime I get a chance to hang out with you, I just think very highly of you. And so when the thought of you coming on the show and when we saw your promotion at Lucky Ducks, we were so thrilled and so happy for you. So maybe just tell us a little bit about that journey of where you're at and what you're doing with Lucky Duck and all of that.
Thank you, Burky. I really, honestly, I think meeting you honestly was an experience that I wasn't prepared for because everybody spoke so highly of you and your jerky. Like it was the secret that if you're in the know at the shows, you need to talk to Burky about his jerky. Like that was like, so meeting you was like such a treat, and I'll never forget the jerky at Gen Con that I got from you. I think it must have been 2019 at this point.
Probably, yeah.
Well,
Like
20
which is
years
just
old,
mad.
the jerky.
So yeah, I mean, okay. So this is now me talking ahead of the entire show just to make Badger's life even harder when he edits this later. So I'm currently the Coco Chanel at Lucky Duck Games, which is the Chief Online Channels Officer, which is a job role that's been very kindly invented for me, which essentially means I'm building a team of people who focus on everything we do online. So we're an interesting company because we've got crowdfunding, we've got our website and e-commerce, we do a lot of digital advertising, but on top of that, we've also got our digital apps, digital hybrid games is a big part of what we do at Lucky Duck. And we've also got our community editors as well that let people make content for our games. So like Chronicles of Crime, for example, and Destinies, very, very soon we'll be releasing the community editor for that. And we've plans in the future to really support that and broaden that out more. So as a board game publisher, we actually have a lot of focus on what happens online. So I'm building that side of our business and really hoping to grow that over the next few years as we. To put it in context, I've been with Lucky Duck just over 2 years. I was employee 20 just over 2 years ago, and I think we're at 45 now. So the last 2 years for Lucky Duck have really been incredible, and we're really a multifaceted company. So depending on where you are in the world, you might interact with us in lots of different ways because we have Lucky Duck France, Lucky Duck Poland, Lucky Duck English. We have our crowdfunding aspect. We have our community aspect. It's great. Did you invent the little black dress? I'm missing a joke from Kabuki.
Yeah, me too.
I wish I did. I mean, I'm sure if I could have patented that.
Just say yes. Just say yes.
Of course I did. Yeah.
Of course I
well,
did.
yeah. I'm surprised you even had to ask. So yeah, like Lucky Duck at the minute is going from like strength to strength. We have a lot of big retail releases, a lot of crowdfunding campaigns. We're launching the Dark Quarter on April 12th, which is our collaboration with Kabuki Kid's making a Coco Chanel reference. I'm so sorry. That was right in front of me and I missed it. I'm sorry, Kabuki.
That went over my head.
So
easy.
Yeah, for us, we're working with Van Ryder Games, which is incredible. Like getting to work with Evan, Evan, the designer and writer on like Final Girl and Detective City on the Angels. This is like a bit of a passion project for us. This was like Evan wanted to write something gritty, something dark, something really mature. And we're kind of doing a game that's going to average about, I think it's going to be about 120,000 words in the base game. That's roughly what we were expecting. It's going to be heavy narrative, 1980s, New Orleans, Badger's doing the music for it. It's sassy and sultry and ominous and dark, and it's perfect. And it's going to give players a way to kind of have that RPG like kind of dark, almost Vampire Masquerade, but also more like Gabriel Knight. If you remember those games from like the point and click adventure games, that kind of feeling. And yeah, we're launching on April 12th, and I'm really, really excited for it. I think it's something that's going to give people a board game unlike anything they've really played before. And it's also taking advantage of our digital hybrid experience and what we do with Destiny. So we've got skill system that kind of came from Destiny's, and the same kind of card scanning in the app, and the same kind of open world exploration. A lot of things that we got positive responses on. And it's also a game that was kind of driven by feedback we had. Destiny's has been one of our biggest and most successful games that we've ever published in 5 years as a company. But one of the things, it's been massive. But one of the things that people really wanted was a co-op way to play it. So the Dark Quarter is a little bit of a nudge in that direction to say, hey, if you liked that RPG like narrative open world kind of exploration, we've now got a real adult, mature themed open world narrative game, but it's fully cooperative or solo if you want to play it. So a bit of a passion project, but also a bit of a reaction, listening to what our fans said and trying something new. And that's kind of, if I could coin Lucky Duck as a publisher in any way, it's innovate and try new stuff. Like we launched a kids brand last year. We launched 2 new kids games, both digital hybrid with Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy and Kids Chronicles, and we launched them both as a new thing. We'd never tried kids games before. We'd never tried to reach that audience. I just said, let's try it. Let's do it. And that's really, you said something earlier, Burky. It's a phrase that I love, which is rising tide lifts all ships. And that's totally how we feel at Lucky Duck. We don't mind being the first through the gate to try something a bit different, to see if it inspires and causes other things to come up behind us. So it's really a great company to be part of, and I'm really grateful to get to do what I do, because to be honest, what I get to do is talk about and showcase and market and promote the amazing work of designers and artists and writers and programmers. I have no talent. I have no skill, none whatsoever. And I get to just...
You have heart. You have heart. That's what it is.
Thankfully, I grew that myself. I didn't even have to earn it. So I'm really privileged to get to work with the people that I do and get to shill their stuff.
Do you know what else a rising tide does? It leaves the floaters on the beach.
Oh.
I'm trying to pull. I'm trying to pull up the different games from Lucky Duck, and when I go to advanced search on Board Game Geek, it doesn't come because I'm trying to remember.
I'll just move out of the way.
A couple of the very first games that you guys came out with. I mean, Lucky Duck came up. What?
Jetpack Joyride, Chronicles of Crime, Destinies.
But before Chronicles, there was a couple really powerful games.
Vikings Gone Wild was the very first game that broke through everything. There we go. There it is. This was the very, very, very first game that was originally, because Lucky Duck kind of started way before my time with him as a company that was taking games to crowdfunding that were video games and taking those IPs. So there was there was Fruit Ninja, there was Zombie Tsunami, and there was Kingdom Rush, Element Uprising, late pledge open now. But that's kind of transitioned over time, and now we're focusing more on creating our own worlds and working with kind of bigger IPs and licenses. But as a deck builder goes, Vikings Gone Wild is super good, like super
awesome.
Yeah, it's out of print, unfortunately, now these days. But I would love. Our CEO is Vincent Vergonjean, and it was actually his brother Julian Vergonjean who designed this. And we've been twisting his arm for a few years, been like, "Do you want to come back and have another look at it?"
You know, when we're speaking about Vikings, and I don't know why it was slipping my mind, but I was at a regional charity event in Colorado, and there was a one of our backers of our Mycroft Topper, Ben from the Snowboard Gamer is his name, but his son was with, and we played a game of that. And I had it at home, but I hadn't opened it. And we played it there, and we loved it so much. And this kid was like, "I love this game. I love this game." And I really liked it also. But when I got home, I found out their address, and I just sent my game to them.
Oh.
And then this kid just was like, he was like so happy about it. It was just kind of one of these really cool things, you know. But that's where when Lucky Duck first came on the scene, I mean, it's just like, okay, it was just one thing better and better, and Chronicles of Crime, and now it's got Az and Bree and all these teams that you're gonna build, and it's really exciting.
It's worth saying, so anyone who's watching the video, but if you're podcasting, you're not going to really get this, but Badger is scrolling through BGG at all the different titles associated with Lucky Duck. It's worth noting, and I think this is both a kind of a warning, but also praise. Many of those games we only do localized versions of. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, we have Lucky Duck Poland and Lucky Duck France. Like Lucky Duck France, we're able to publish Dune Imperium there. It won the Az d'Or this year at Cannes, which is the biggest French award you can win in board gaming. It's absolutely massive, and we work with hundreds of publishers through what we call our worldwide publishing program, which is where we basically help publishers get their games out broader. To put it in context, and goodness, Michael Herman, who I love, is going to shoot me if I get this wrong, but I believe Chronicles of Crime, through only our own effort, like just us as a company, is in 26 languages. So we've built a massive network of contacts and partners all around the world that we try and help them to bring their games far more broadly all around the world. Yummy Monster. So funny story about Yummy Monster Tummy. So the first thing is this was originally a game. This is not the funny story. In fact, I don't really tell funny stories. There's just going to be a story. Yummy Monster Tummy was originally a game by Hyber called Soviet Kitchen. It came out in Spiel, Germany, I think in 2019. Badger's dying. And the game was wonderful. It was a color matching game where you had an app and you were scanning, you were matching colors by putting things into a blender and then mashing it up. But the content did not match the gameplay because you had a color matching game, very light party, kind of super fun to play. But the things you were putting in the blender were like grenades and vodka and weapons. And it was like, you know, it was like the USSR demilitarized color matching game. It was very weird. But we saw it and we're like, this is really cool. We love what you've got here with the app and color matching. We think this would be great for kids. And actually, Vince, our CEO, played Soviet Kitchen with some of the cards removed with a lot of his kids. So we essentially worked with Hyber to make this a family-friendly, much more fun. Now we've got burping monsters and lollipops and candy, far more, and it's been hugely well received. Like it's been brilliant. Wow. And that's just, I think, again, because we as a company have built that reputation as a digital hybrid company. We have a software team who work with us full-time. Like I think we have 5 staff now who are developing in Unity and kind of web developing as well. And they're with us all the time because that is part of our core business. It's not something we outsource. It's not something we have a different studio for. That's Lucky Duck. So whenever we find people who have really good app-driven, app-supported games, we want to get in touch with them and see if there's things we can do. And this was a great example of that.
Awesome.
The funny story, which isn't funny, is the game name. I sat down with our head of studio, Philippe Moinski, amazing guy, and he said, "Hey, Az, I've got a few different ideas for the game." And there was about 20 different ideas. And it was like Hungry Monster, Feedy Monsters, Monster Party, Color Match
Monster Bug.
Like it was every variation of feeding monsters, you know. And then we got to the bottom, and the last one on the list was Yummy Monster Tummy. And I just went, that's it. He went, what's it? And I was like, Yummy Monster Tummy. He says, oh, no, I only put that on as a joke because it sounds funny. And I was like, no, you don't realize that's what we're calling this game. And I was like, because you can't say Yummy Monster Tummy without smiling. And it's just, and the Polish and the French localized teams were like, Yummy Monster Tummy really doesn't translate very well. You know, it's not, and I'm like, I don't care. This will be the hill that I die on, right? And I'm not a confrontational person, but I turned around to Vince and I said, Vince, this is the time. I will stand atop this hill and I will not budge until we call this game Yummy Monster Tummy. And if I have anything to give as a legacy, that's all I can give.
I'm just trying to translate that into French and I can't. But anyway,
it was Goujon. Oh, we did. Oh, we had a name for it.
Goujon.
Yeah, like essentially it was. I think it's called Goujon because I'm British, but it's not called Goujon.
Gucci.
I need
anyway.
Bree in chat to see of me.
Yeah.
Well, we need to finish
Move
up
on.
here, so I think we're gonna go, and now we're going to take a look at our top 3 expansions from our guest Az from Lucky Duck Games and Sir Badger. So, Badger, would you like to start out?
Yeah, I would definitely like to start out by saying that these expansions that I am going to mention are they are built into the game now. I will not play them without them. I used to be a Pokemon. You buy a game, you got to buy the expansions. But I've learned that sometimes that doesn't work. And so I very, very rarely buy expansions. And even with Kickstarters like Skyrim, I just bought the base game, not the 3 other boxes, because,
that's self-control. Wow.
I have self-control now. I am stopped buying expansions. That's why I wanted this subject. Now. I am stamping down on my expansions because I still haven't played so many of them, and it's just like so frustrating. But anyway, number 1, my most played game ever, Viticulture. I cannot play the base game anymore. I always got to have the expansions. And that's from the Tuscany expansion. So there's like 9 or 12 expansions in it. And I don't use all of them. I use a few of them depending on the players that I'm playing with. If I'm playing with newbies, I'll just add in like the mama and papa, so everyone's got a different starting hand. And then I might add in the terrain as well, so it's an easy way for people to get money. But with experienced players, I'll add in some of the bigger things, so like the buildings, like the area control, and obviously some of the meeples as well. But definitely never, ever, ever play Viticulture without an expansion, because it opens up avenues for how to win and play.
Kabuki Kid just made a really amazing comment that we should have talked about while we were talking. But she says the curse with so many expansions is that you buy them with intentions to get them played, and then the next time you play with new people, and you decide just to play the base game.
And that's exactly why I've clamped down on expansions, because it's always like, I've got to teach the base game. Whereas with these games that I'm in my list, these are games that are in the base and they stay there, even with newbies.
So true. So true. Well, Az, how about one of your top 3?
So my favorite is a must-have for what is actually my favorite game of all time. That is Flamme Rouge.
Oh, I love that game.
I adore it. And I will never play it with both of the expansions now. That's the Meteo and Peloton, but Peloton is the must-have for me.
Peloton.
It's the one that adds in a few different types of track. You've got some narrow paths. You've got some cobblestones to deal with. It does increase the player count and does add a bit of a gambling aspect to the start of the game, but it's not the gambling that's interesting. It's actually the fact that what ends up happening is you have 2 different packs of riders at the very start of the race, which is very intriguing for strategy. Very light game, really, really easy to play. But Flamme Rouge, and specifically Peloton expansion, is a must for me. I genuinely adore the game, and that expansion, I wouldn't play it without it now if I can avoid it.
Wow, that's a great thought.
I feel that
I first played that game with it was with you, Barry, at Paul Grogan's house at the UK Games Fair.
The first game has hills and it has some runways, and that's kind of it. When you add in a couple of new types of track thickness and a couple of new types of terrain to be on, it just adds that little bit more detail that you need to have a bit more of an interesting play.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, my first one that I'll go with is Champions of Midgard from Grey Fox Games.
That was on my list. I thought about that one. Yeah.
Well, they came out with the Valhalla. I love Champions of Midgard, but there was something that happened in Champions, and it's a dice roller, so this happens in these kind of games, but sometimes you'd build up all your stuff and you'd go on that track because you're going to go kill that Leviathan or whatever over there. And sure enough, you'd lose. And then it's like it took you 2 rounds to feel like you caught up. Well, they came out with the Valhalla and the Mountains expansion. And they had this great big neoprene mat, of course, which I had to have, that had that all in one place. But on Valhalla, what happens is you go on these treks, but when you die, your warriors go to your dice, your warriors go to Valhalla, and then you get these little tokens. And you can use these tokens to get these other endpoint victory cards by defeating this, or you get little benefits where you can mitigate your dice and just things like that made you feel that you weren't losing everything. And plus it added some additional variability to where you could go, so you didn't feel like you were stuck with maybe a less than optimal scenario. To me, Valhalla's one of those must-have if you play Champions in Midgard. I think anybody that didn't like Champions as a base game might want to try it again, because I really think it's fantastic. Love that game as a really good entry and even midweight worker placement game. And of course it's got Vikings.
Okay.
So that's mine. Barry?
Okay, just a quick one. I was contemplating putting games like Dominion and Chronicles of Crime on here, but where the expansions feel like base games, especially the new ones, the 1900, the 2400, they are kind of like their own little base game now.
Not technically expansions; they are straight up standalone.
Yeah, but
yes, 1400 did indeed win best expansion at Dice Tower this year, which we didn't say no to, but I didn't want to email to like Tom. It's not actually an expansion.
No, but originally there was like Redville and the Noir one, which were expansions, but the thing is, you needed the base game to play, but they were like, And again, same for Dominion. Dominion, you could just buy one of the base expansions and it's an expansion, but it's a base game. But anyway, a game never play without expansions. Carcassonne, you can just pick up any old Carcassonne expansion, whack it in, and people play it. Obviously, the more different expansions you add in, the more people have to think about things. But yeah, I've always got all my tiles there. I don't segregate any tiles. If people say, "What's that dragon do?" Oh, that's doing nothing in this version. We're not playing with the dragon. Okay. Oh, what's this? What's this barrel of? No. We're just doing this. But that's great. You can have millions of tiles then, and then as people play, or you can judge their level. You can say, "Okay, we're going to insert this rule. We're going to put the merchants in. We're going to put the knights in. We're going to put princess in." But definitely, Carcassonne is a perfect game to have expansions for and play with.
That just made me think of Catan. That's way back in the day. Az, what's your second?
I gotta try and keep this short because I realize I've got you guys running long, but I'm going to have to give a very strange shout out to Android Netrunner. This game is out of print now, okay? So it's a bad one to tell people to go and buy, but if you can see it secondhand, I highly recommend it. It is a living card game. It was my Grail game. It's the game that got me actually into the industry as a person working in board gaming. And they did a thing where they had regular mini expansions, these little small packs that would come out, but they bookended those with big box expansions, which had these beautiful names like Data and Destiny, Creation and Control, Honor and Profit.
Yeah,
I'm Creation and Control of all of them. It was the first big box expansion, and it was the one that I loved because it focused on my favorite faction, which was Hasbiroid. But the reason, and I'm just going to put this out there, if you're a living card game fan, if you like any kind of closed format card game, not necessarily doesn't have to be a living card game, but any kind of game that's not collectible or tradable, consider expanding your card game one specifically, especially with deck building, because what it does is it changes your meta. It changes your current card pool. This is true of Dominion, it's true of Clank, it's true of living card games more than anything. And I think what I love as a person is that moment that hit shelves and the moment that people started to bring it to game night and you went, oh, that's new, that's different. Oh, that makes this thing that I never thought of was possible, or that card that I would never have used now viable, now interesting, now intriguing. And it took a game and gave it new breath of life and created that new spark of creativity of everybody there. And I generally just think and they said Marvel Champions, Android Netrunner Creation and Control is one of my all-time favorite expansions for any game ever. Bad one to suggest to buy, so I'll simply say if you have any of these closed games that have their own little metas, look at their big box expansions, if it's Dominion or Smash Up or whatever it may be, because it can take something you love and just add a bit more breadth to it.
Yeah, that's for sure. I played that early on in our gaming as well, and with Josiah, and it was no time at all that he was quite bored playing me because he advanced so far ahead, and I was still trying to figure out the base. But yeah, that's such a great game. My second, I'm going to leave my third one for the last, which is one of my favorites, but my second is also a favorite, is Star Trek Ascendancy. I think Gale Force 9 just knocked it out of the park with this Star Trek themed game. In my opinion, it's the best Star Trek game that's been made. I loved Star Trek Fleet Captains. Okay. I really enjoyed the exploration of that, but it's a really big, long game. And there was something about Ascendancy that just felt, this is Star Trek. And I'm such a big Trekker, Trekkie, and I loved it. Well, the base game comes with the Klingons, the Federation, and the Romulans. And so you've got all those characteristics of each race. Klingons are out for war, and the Romulans are conniving and scheming behind the scenes, and the Federation is trying to be the nice guy and develop stuff. But then they came out with these expansions, the Andorians. Well, who doesn't love the Andorians, especially if you watch Star Trek Enterprise. They were my favorite race.
I thought that was the Ferengi.
The what?
The Ferengi were your favorite race.
The Ferengi, I was talking to Star Trek, but the Ferengi are like my favorite. No, the Klingons are my favorite. No, the androids are my favorite. But no, I got to tell you, the Ferengi and that expansion that came out with the Grand Negus, Quark, these tube grubs are chilled to perfection.
There it is. I should put that on stock. I should have that on a button here so I can just go like that. And
I love it.
And they're all about trading. So their characteristics of a race are put into the game. And then you've got the Cardassians, and they're all out for war and doing their crap. And now they've got some new stuff that I just saw was listed. It's not available yet, but they're doing the Dominion from Deep Space Nine. What? The Borg creates a new solo expansion, and I played that with Josiah, and I was like, oh, the tension was like so awesome playing a 2-player game with the Borg, and we were just right at the end. And this is a big honking sprawling game, so you can tell I'm excited about Star Trek Ascendancy, Gale Force 9, and all the expansions. Just buy them all.
I wanna buy them right now. I really do. You've sold me on it.
All right, there we go. Barry, number 3.
Number 3, last one. Oh, this is so close. But Jamaica and the Crew.
The Crew, I remember.
I have been playing. Jamaica's again that always hits the table, and you know what? The Crew just changes it enough to make it different, and it can be. It's just as easy to learn as the base game itself, and it just adds a different way of playing. Instead of just drawing a card and accidentally, I've got this super weapon. You actually choose what crew members you have, which are your secret weapons. So I am never playing Jamaica without the Crew anymore because it's another tactical fish. If you can coin a phrase, tactical fish. I should have said tactical duck.
I remember getting that with you. I remember it.
You bought that for me. Your generosities and hey, Barry, we just played Jamaica. Here you go. It's an expansion.
Az, what is your number 3?
It's Munchkin. No, I'm joking. It's not Munchkin.
Yes, I was just looking at Munchkin just there.
Which of the 17,000 expansions did you like for Munchkin, Barry?
There was only 12.
Oh, for which version? Did you counting the Cthulhu ones and you counting the sci-fi ones?
Oh yeah, I didn't think about those ones. I was thinking
Not
just like the basic warrior ones,
Only 12. Okay, I was going to say Splendor, right? Because I love Splendor, and I really like this model of 4 mini expansions and the option to modular variability. Cool, but I talked about that earlier, so I'm not going to talk about it again. So I'm going to have a little joke one that I adore, and I do always include it. I put a link in our chat in case you can get it, but this is Cult Express.
Oh,
The horses and stagecoach expansion.
yeah, those are cool.
Because again, I talk about fondle factor as something I love. Another thing I love is table presence.
Table presence.
Like Pitch Perfect, you talked about it earlier, Burky, from Arcane Wonders. It has great table presence.
Yep.
The Cult Express as a base game, and I bought the neoprene mat for it, the big, long, skinny neoprene mat, and I always put the little punchboard cactus and the little punchboard tumbleweed and the little I always set them all up, even though they just get in the way. And you've got this 3D board of this train that you're all trying to rob, and you're jumping up and down it, and then you've already got a 3D board, you've already got the track, you've already got the train, and then you come along with the little stagecoach, and it's running alongside the train, and now you can jump between the two, and now you've got the horses, and you're like, and it just takes a 3D game into like the 4th dimension for me. It makes it super fun. And then if you've got it, and I do, the DeLorean little mini promo expansion that they released.
Yep.
So it sits at the front of the train, and now you've got a stagecoach and a DeLorean and the train, and you're all running about, and it's like, yes, just let me enjoy the simplicity of giggles around a table. And I'll always include. There's another expansion that actually came out first for Cult Express. It's
I can see it.
Native American themed. I can't remember what
the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
What's it called? I know what it is.
I
actually didn't. I didn't like it actually.
Yeah, this is the thing. I was the same. Where the heck is it? I'm gonna try and find it.
Marshals and Prisoners.
That was it. And I didn't really resonate with that one. But the fact that there was a 3D stagecoach with horses and it was adding an extra dimension to the board, I did go back for the stagecoach and horses one, the horses and stagecoach one. And I love it. It's great fun, really silly, adds another dimension to a already wonderful game on the tabletop.
Yeah. I don't play with the Marshals one either. I always play with the stagecoach. Not all the time. Base game is fine, but I've got the extra characters.
My third one is my favorite 2-player game of all time. Kagoopy Kid corrected me, and she is correct. The Borg expansion, Kagoopy, yummy, yummy tummy. Kabuki Kid. The board does not play solo. It lets you play 2-player, and then the Borg is there. But yeah, that's what I meant. So, and she said it better. But my favorite 2-player game of all time is Baseball Highlights 2045. I love it. I just love this game. The back and forth asymmetrical type of play, the characters of the robots, the naturals, and the cyborgs, and how they play off of one another, the drafting. I just love this about it. But then they came out with these expansions, and these expansions for the game added the Magna Glove players. So, in the base game, it's the whole story of 2045 is that baseball had lost its flair, and all of a sudden there was these robots they put into the game to make it more exciting. And then humans that couldn't compete with the robots, they were got cybernetic implants so they could compete. And then there was the select few naturals who could still play the game. Okay, so you've got this cool thing going on there with the story. But then all of a sudden, you got these Magna Gloves that they're naturals who are ready to get kicked out of the game because they're not holding up the end. Well, they came out with the Magna Glove, and they would cancel 2 hits. And so they had this device. And then you had all these different players that added extra teamwork abilities. And you had the coaches expansions where you could have a coach on your team to give you a special one-time ability a couple times during the series. And it added so much more, I wouldn't say complexity, in some cases maybe a little bit, but just so much more flavor that I love playing with so many of the expansions. And then you had all these different teams that all had just a little bit of, I was able to get the Minnesota Twins, well, that's a win right there. Even though, so I love the expansions for Baseball Highlights 2045. Mike Fitzgerald, one of my favorite designers from Eagle Griffin Games.
Cool.
Love it.
There you go.
Well, man, it feels like we just started. It was so much fun talking about everything we talked about.
It was an absolute blast.
Yeah. Apart from the fact I need a pee-pee now.
I mean,
I don't want to go, though. I don't want to go. I want to carry on.
The show went 2 hours and 13 minutes. We're not quite done. We're almost done, but I guess.
Sorry, whenever Badger cuts down the nonsense, it'll be like a 10-minute episode. Sorry.
I can do a 10-minute episode of me coughing behind the scenes.
Well, I really sincerely mean it as one of my favorite people. I'm so glad you were able to come on the show and that this worked out. And we're so encouraged and so grateful to Lucky Duck bringing you on and just, this career opportunity you have to do. You get to be you in this environment that I think is just going to thrive. And I'm just really, really proud of you and really excited for you.
Yeah, I think we're lucky to have you in the hobby because you are like a kind of like a very powerful torch in the dark.
Well said.
I don't know what that
much,
means,
guys.
but it's...
I hugely appreciate that, and really, really, truly, I think the past 2 years has been very isolating, very withdrawing for a lot of people. I don't recommend moving during a pandemic. Don't do it. Bad for your social life. I did it. I don't recommend it, and it's not good. And honestly, I think as someone who's I'm in my mid-30s now, I turned 35 in like 2 weeks' time, and that I joke that's halfway to a free bus pass, because in Northern Ireland, when you get to a certain age, you get a free bus pass. So I'm kind of halfway to my free bus pass. And Lucky Duck has been a really good home to me. And to be honest, Vince and the team are helping me transition from being not just the loud, outspoken person on camera and person on events, but starting to develop that more managerial, executive vision, planning the future for the company side of it as well. And that's been great for me, because as someone who left a 7-year stable career in banking, of all things, taking the leap to a minimum wage job, having a bit of a tumultuous time, getting into the industry, trying it out, I feel like after 4.5 years now as I've been in the industry, I've really landed on my feet with Lucky Duck, and they're a wonderful team who I'm very glad to be part of. So it's the industry as a whole is generally just a wonderful place to be involved in. And I think sometimes I'm reading a book at the minute. Sorry, I'm gonna stop talking, I swear. But I'm reading this book at the minute. It's called The Big Five for Life, which is a wonderful book. It's actually about leadership, but it's told in a very warm story narrative manner. And one of the things in it they talk about when you're stressed or when you're overwhelmed or things are not going to plan is that we're not saving lives. Like, we're making games, we're sharing fun, we're trying to make something that hopefully enough people will want to buy that we can print it and make enough of it. Okay, some people are not going to like it. You can't please everyone. Sometimes your art and your components and everything doesn't go the way you want it to, but we get to work in an industry where we're making stuff that people can listen to or improve their game with, and for you gentlemen, or for me to share stuff around the table. And I think myself and the team at Lucky Duck kind of feel that way. So yeah, I'm happy. I don't know where that started. Thanks for being nice. I got emotional and I just started rambling. So yeah.
Is there an expansion for that book?
Yeah, this 6-5 for life. We forgot one when we wrote the original book. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
As you were a banker?
Yeah, I was a complete banker and a punter. Such a punting banker.
You punted piles of money in the air. I'm out of here. I'm going to go work for a big company.
I think we can get away with that.
My job title for a long time at the bank was Tactical Response Coordinator. And we used to joke that meant you got a badge and a gun and you went in SWAT style. It did not mean that.
I was so close to cutting you off there. I was.
Oh man. Anyway,
Well,
I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah.
This has been
We're gonna
super
wrap up.
fun. We want to thank everybody for joining us on the show, and we want to thank our sponsors, Arcane Wonders. Go check out Picture Perfect, Furnace, Four Towers,
Onitama, one of the best 2-player games ever.
Four
Cheers.
Gardens, and Onitama and their expansions, Foundations of Rome, Late Pledge Manager, Freedom 5. And likewise, you can still late pledge and get some amazing deals on packages at Game Toppers LLC. We even still have the 2 mat bundles that you get 2 free storage bags and 2 mats at a significant discount and a discounted shipping. So check that out at GameToppersLLC.com or our late pledge manager. And where can they find you at, Az?
www.lucky.games.com or as Drummond everywhere.
Yeah,
Az
it's no
Drummond
longer in our
everywhere.
dungeon.
No longer there. Well, send us away, Sir Badger.
I will do. Thanks for watching, everyone, and watch out for those mind flies, mind caterpillars,
Mind insects, mind
Mind
butterflies,
fly.
mind flies.
mind flies. Bye bye.
Mind range. Mind.
We're so glad we had this time together. And now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. So keep us in mind, get online. Burky and Badger will be back in no time.